right, we're off and rolling Saturday morning. Hope everybody's having a great weekend. Looks like the fall weather has hit the West Coast. Maybe the winter weather has hit the East Coast. Where the 49ers take on the Browns, Week 6. And here to talk about it, the coach is in the house in his regular time slot on a Saturday, 9:14 on the West Coast, 12:14, now 12:15 on the East Coast. The Pig in a Pickle Krueg Show comes at you, Larry Krueger and the coach on this Saturday. We're brought to you by MarinAutoglass.com, New York style sausage, and Pig in a Pickle, the best barbecue in Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera, open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig in a Pickle, the best barbecue you're going to find in the Bay Area. Get the brisket chili. Go say hi to Damon and Mary. Tell them that Krueg sent you. And we're also, of course, brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. We've partnered with them. We've got some Underdog Fantasy that we'll talk about in a bit. But first, we welcome in the coach. Coach, how are you?
Good to go, Larry. It's raining out here, so we're storming, trying to get through the inclement weather. But, I'm geared up, man. We're 5-0, feeling good, and we're about to go to Cleveland and get us another one, man.
Well, yeah, last we talked, the Niners were still a day and a half away from playing the Cowboys, and I forget what I said on the show. I thought I said 35-14 on this show. It wound up being 42-10. I kind of hedged a little bit on the pregame show on 95.7 The Game, said 30-7, just like week one.
Mm-hmm.
But I did think it would be a blowout, not because I don't think the Cowboys are good. It was a bad matchup for the Cowboys. The Niners are a bad matchup for the Cowboys. It's as simple as that. The Niners can run the ball. They can stop the Cowboy run. They can make Dak very one-sided, and all those things happen Saturday night, or Sunday night, I should say. Give me your takeaway on Niners-Cowboys. It was a blowout.
I mean, it looked great. What else can you say? We were clicking on all facets of the ball, all stages of the ball, actually, offense, defense, and special teams. The offensive line actually looked good, and they kind of got a little bit of a reprieve from Dallas really kind of saying, we want Brock Purdy to beat us today. They really didn't blitz that much, and the offensive line did a hell of a job in pass pro. Very, very excited to see what we can do against Cleveland on that front, because that's something that we kind of look forward to from the right side of our offensive line. Brock looked very good. He looked calm, got the ball out, and just added on, stacked another brick onto that resume, just adding more proof of concept. He looked very good. Debo, everybody, Brandon Ayuk. As far as the offense is concerned, if you just look at the numbers, it was an economic game. Nobody really stood out as far as numbers are concerned. Now, albeit George's multiple touchdown game. But as far as the numbers and the catches were concerned, it was very efficient. The ball got out where it needed to be. And really, that goes to another unsung hero who deserves some praise, Kyle. Kyle called a great game. He had an amazing league scheme game. It just seemed as though that Dallas just did not know what to do, especially with how we schemed up Micah Parsons. We just kept him guessing. It was Aaron Donald redux, like just keep them guessing, crack them, reach them, log them, double team them, trap them, leave them alone, let them get upfield. There was a lot of different things that they did with Micah along the way that I was very impressed with, where they mixed it up. They put our offensive line in really good position so we could have leverage when blocking against him. There were a lot of good pass protections that I saw, where we had some half-man slides or some full-man slides with George and Juice coming back under for blocks squarely on top of Micah Parsons. So Kyle was in his bag. And then defensively, they were just hunting. Fred set the tone early, made some really good bang plays on Dak and on the ball. Dre does not get enough credit. I mean, he is a tone setter. I believe that you did a video where you specifically talked to Coach Wilkes about Dre Greenlaw being a tone setter for the 49ers defense.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, he was. How about the play in the first half where he just picked up Pollard and just hurled him into the ground?
That's how you set the tone. That's how you set the tone. That's how you let people know you're not here to play games today. I I feel as though that they do. Everybody kind of lives off Dre. Dre is the tip of the spear. Now, I understand that Fred is the leader, Fred is the quarterback, and that's who flashes, right? He's the mic. But as far as putting the punctuation at the end of the sentence, right? Like Dre is making a name for himself for being an enforcer, right? If you like hockey, Dre's an enforcer, right? So, in my opinion, I really like what we gave offensively as far as effort. Special teams did good. Jake Moody is still seemingly money. Moody is lights out. He's doing a great job. So for me, the team looked really good. Well, I said to you the last show that we did that I had us winning this game, but how we won the game would be more of a statement. And I feel as though that, we've been saying this before, but we are to Dallas what Kansas City is to us, right? They came in giving us their best shot. They came in uh giving us what they prepared for throughout the year to be able to show that us ending their season 2 years in a row was a fluke. And they got blown out. I really feel as though that even watching the Eagles and seeing how they're maturing and trying to grow, they're still 5-0, but I don't see anybody at least better than us in the NFC. The NFC is ours. And really, I'm kind of looking at the rest of the league. I really do. I think we're the best team in football. I really do.
It was a all around performance. I mean, Wishnowski, if the Niners keep playing complimentary ball where their defense plays well, their offense scores 30, and Wishnowski pins the opponent when they don't score inside the 20 on these punts. I mean, he had 4 punts and he put 2 inside the 20, and he's been really good at that this year. So he's been a force. And then the Niners linebackers are both all pro. I mean, Fred Warner had the game of his life. 8 tackles, 5 solo, a sack, a pick, a tackle for a loss, a hit on the quarterback, pass, a PBU. I mean, he was everywhere. Greenlaw had 2 tackles for loss, 5 tackles, all of them solo. He had a sack. He had a hit on the quarterback. I mean, those 2 guys are just playing at an incredible level right now defensively. And the Niners defense, took a team that rolled in scoring 40, scoring points, and they held them to
Rolling
10.
Cats.
Yeah, man. And then the Niners offense put 42 up on a team that was giving up 10 points a game. Jordan Mason looked great. I loved his run for the touchdown late. Purdy throwing with anticipation all day. I thought the J.T. O'Sullivan quarterback school thing where he's talking about world-class anticipation. I mean, the guy's poised. He's seeing it, and his ball's coming out on time with accuracy. And man, Kyle, I mean, I kind of predicted in the pregame that Kyle would have some wrinkles, and sure enough, I mean, the flea flicker. But the one that my favorite play was
cold.
Yeah, I mean, the flea flicker was incredible. But earlier in that game, when he used that Dolphins fast out motion, and it's like, if you said what is like the bread and butter play of the Niner offense right now, it's Purdy in the short to intermediate slant to Ayuk at different either side of the field. And it's like all the Niners did was they came out in that sprint motion, that fast Dolphins sprint out motion, and created all that eye candy. And Brock drops back to pass, and he goes to Ayuk on a slant. And you would think, oh, there's going to be a defender on him. There's going to be a defender in front of him. It's going to be in a huge crowd. There wasn't a cowboy within 5 yards of Brandon Ayuk because of the Debo sprint motion to the sideline. He dragged the entire. It just kind of made the Cowboys freeze, and Purdy had just the widest of wide open slants to Ayuk, which is just early in the game. It was just too easy for the 49ers to complete that pass. And then Kittle, what can you say? 4 targets, 3 touchdowns. he's phenomenal. And the Niners ran for over 4 yards a carry. And then the big story to me is, the Niner offensive line. I mean, the Niner offensive line was going up against this Cowboy front that was vicious and had tons of sacks and putting all kinds of heat on the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Dallas had 1 sack and 2 hits on the quarterback all night. The Niners had 4 sacks and 9 hits on Dak Prescott. I thought that was a huge part of it as well. So very, very impressive win, and it makes people talk about the Niners as a Super Bowl favorite. It makes them talk about Dallas as kind of like, how good is Dallas? Is Dallas as good as Detroit? I don't know. I would say no. I like Detroit's weapons better. I like Detroit's everything better. I like the way Goff's playing. I like the way Aiden Hutchinson's playing. I'd rather have Detroit right now. So if you said to me, a lot of people think it's Niners, Eagles, Niners, 1-2, 2-1, whatever, and then Dallas is that third team. I don't know that Dallas is that third team. I think, that was my other takeaway is that, okay, the Niners are 1 or 2 in the NFC, let's just say. We'll take the AFC, put that aside. But then who's 3? I don't think it's Dallas. I mean, I think it's, some people say Seattle. I don't know if I believe that, but I'd probably go with Detroit. I don't think the Cowboys
I like Detroit.
Are the third best team in the conference right now. They just you know what I'm saying? It's like they're a 1 running back team. Niners held Pollard to 29 yards. They're a 1 receiver team. And the Niners tilted their coverage towards CeeDee Lamb. He kept him under 50 yards, kept him out of the end zone.
Yeah.
They just put Van Der Esch on the IR with an injury.
They're compromised at linebacker, in my opinion. They're just not as fast as you thought they would be. And then also, Micah Parsons deserves. I'm sorry for cutting in, by the way.
Go ahead.
But Micah Parsons, he gets all of the headlines, and rightfully so, because he's the guy. But where was DeMarcus Lawrence? DeMarcus Lawrence did nothing against us. So I mean, really, I agree with you. Dallas, I had us beating them. I don't think that they're better than us, but I didn't think they were going to look like this. They can't walk away from an ass whooping like this and stay in the top 3. I'm sorry, they're just not. Nah, I don't see Dallas as even. I mean, top 5 if you're being generous, but for right now, even how they're talking about it, they're not even like really owning the loss. Like they're talking about how they feel phenomenal about their offense. Like you scored 10 points last week.
Well, and what's Parsons talking about? I mean, Parsons is like, trust. Next time that you see us, next time. What about this time? What about this time?
I mean, what about the first 2 times?
Yeah, I mean, what about the last 3? I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. It's that was kind of weak. And then Debo was like, also, next time it's going to be worse.
Yeah, and then also, the underlying conversation is like him versus Nick, and they love to like pit Michael Parsons versus Nick Bosa, but it's just 2 completely different levels. Like, in my opinion, Micah is a very versatile player. He is a very good player, but Nick Bosa is class personified of putting his hand in the dirt. It's like, I understand you want to do all that stuff, Micah, but put your hand in the dirt. Like, if you can't do that, then, everything else is just, nice rims, beautiful tint, awesome paint job, but where's your engine at? So it's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I don't know. Some people say that game was more about the Niners. It's funny. The Niners kind of broke their huddle in the locker room after the game, and Fred Warner said, "It ain't about them, guys. It's about us," which in a way, fires you up as a 49er fan. But I don't know if that was about the Niners or if that was about the Cowboys, because I think it was a little bit of both. I mean, everybody was touting Dallas like Dallas was some monster team. I thought that spread was wrong. I mean, I took the Niners. I usually tease it if I have concerns. I was like, oh, I'm not worried about this spread at all. I mean, 3.5 for Niners Cowboys at home against a team that can't stop your run game, and you can stop their run game. It's like, and it just seems like the Niners are the Niners are confident against Dallas. Dallas doesn't look very confident against the Niners. They really don't. They just
No.
look like a team that's just kind of like they're just waiting. Like Dak's got some weird vibes too. After that pick to Gibson, has a huge smile on his face as he's walking off the field.
It's
What are you
like
smiling at, bro?
he's trying to. It's. I feel like Dak is very self-conscious and he's aware of his surroundings a little too much. And Dak's got a little bit of Russell Wilson in him. You know what I mean? Like he's trying to be too quarterbacky and it's just like, bro, just let it fly. Like I feel as though the same way I feel about Russ kind of applies to Dak. It's like he's method acting as a quarterback. Like he's giving his best caricature of what he believes a quarterback is supposed to be. But he's not just the quarterback. So a lot of times you see him in those weird moments where he's like, right here, I'm supposed to act like I'm not bothered. And it's just like, no, you threw a pick, bro. It's like, stop smiling. So yeah, that's my take on it.
That was weird. I mean, it's like I don't know what's going on with Dak, but obviously there's, they've got their own issues. But the more I watch Detroit, the more I think it's Niners, Eagles, and Lions because I mean, look at it this way: Cowboys have a good offensive line. I think Lions have a better offensive line. Cowboys have a decent quarterback. I think the Lions have a better quarterback in the way Goff's playing right now. I like Pollard as a runner. I kind of like the combo that the Lions have in their backfield better. I like CeeDee Lamb, but I kind of like Amon-Ra and Jameson Williams and those guys better. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's like it's weird. I mean, now the Lions aren't a perfect team, and I kind of think they're a year away from really being a force. But to me, they're the second best team or the third best team in the conference. All right, trade deadline coming up, and today is the 14th of October. The trade deadline is almost exactly, Coach, 2 weeks away. And I did a video this week that got tons of traction. I'm like 30 or 40,000 views on the player that I believe is the ideal player to get the 49ers over the top. And I'm saying it's Jeremy Chin of the Panthers. And I'm reading a report today. The Panthers say that Terrace Marshall, the wide receiver, Dante Jackson, the corner, and Jeremy Chin are all on the trade block. No word on Brian Burns or J.C. Horn, two guys who would really fetch quite a bit. But the Panthers are in a rebuild. They're looking to the future, and they've got some players there that they're willing to move. I mean, Chin, to me, makes the most sense. Why? Because he's a great athlete. He's a former Defensive Rookie of the Year runner-up. The guy is, he's one of the most versatile defenders in the NFL. He can play linebacker. He can play safety. He can play nickel corner. And under Steve Wilkes, he had a real role there. Now with Avero's 3-4 scheme, it seems like they don't know how to utilize him. He's not playing very much. They're saying his price tag is a fourth and a sixth to get Jeremy Chin. And I just look at him, Coach, as a guy that if you do get Kansas City, you have to deal with Kelsey. This guy is the Kelsey neutralizer, in my opinion. And then from the Niner perspective, who do you got to beat to get to the Super Bowl? It's probably the Eagles. Eagles are supposedly hot to trot on this guy. They've lost Avonte Maddox. They lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson. They need a nickelback bad, and Chin is a damn good one. I love this addition. One, he doesn't make a lot of money, so you could still roll over all your cap. He's in the final year of a rookie deal. Two, I just think he's being, I think Steve Wilkes does know how to utilize this player, and he's not a scheme fit where he's at right now. Three, I think this guy's an impact athlete. And then four, I mean, when you look at the ability to cover Kelsey and block him from going to Philadelphia, those are two huge gamesmanship steps if you can make that move. And then the other reason I really like it is look at the trade deadline. It's basically October 31st. So if you're going to go to the Super Bowl, you got to play all of November, all of December, and all of January after the trade deadline. So to me, it's like if you're looking for coverage to kind of cover you going forward, you don't know where the next injury's coming. It might come at linebacker. It might come in the secondary. It might come at safety. It might come at nickel corner. This guy at least gives you coverage in a bunch of different spots. And I know he hasn't, there's some people that don't think he's a great coverage player. I
Yeah.
think Jeremy Chin, 41.5-inch vertical, sub 4.5 40. I love this guy coming out in the draft out of the Saluki program, and I just think he's
Mhm.
big time. I would go offer, even though they're saying he's going to fetch a fourth and a sixth, I would jump the line and say, here's my third, or here's a second even. If I could get like maybe Dante Jackson back as well. I would if I was John Lynch, I'd call Scott Fitterer, the GM of the Panthers, and make an aggressive offer, keep him from going to Philly, and then I just think that he's a guy that will allow you that I think Wilkes knows how to use, and I think he's a guy that kind of like McCaffrey. You traded for McCaffrey, and then you want him here long term. If you trade for a guy like Chin, I could see him being a 49er long term. I mean, sign him up, get him in your defense, utilize him as a nickelback. I think he's a big, physical, fast nickelback. I think that's the route I would go. I mean, if you told me I could get Surtain, um, I would definitely prioritize getting Surtain. I just,
Mhm.
at the end of the day, I don't believe that Surtain's going to move. I just don't. And like
He's too
Brian
much of an
Burns,
asset.
yeah, and Brian Burns is awesome. I'd love to have Brian Burns. I don't know that they're going to move players of that ilk, but the talk is Chin's very much available. And when I
Mhm.
read all the stories coming out of Carolina this week about it, I was like, oh, wow, they're going to move
Mhm.
this guy. So, if I'm Lynch, to me, he outdueled Les Snead for CMC last year, and it made a huge impact. I would try to outduel Howie Roseman for Jeremy Chin. What do you think of Chin? And then if you don't like Chin, who do you want to prioritize, or what would you prioritize going into this trade deadline, or would you just sit it out?
Well, I like the homework that you've done on Jeremy Chin. I kind of feel like we already have that skill set in the building. It's a little bit of a redundant skill set. A guy that can get down in the box, bang around, be good from short coverage. Jeremy Chin struggles a little bit in pass coverage, so being able to put him in pass coverage, I'm not saying that he wouldn't do a good job with us and what we would try to utilize him for, but having a guy that struggles in pass coverage and then specifically getting him to cover one of the best tight ends in the league is kind of like the perfect storm, if you will, right? So for me, I wouldn't really be hot to get Jeremy Chin because I feel as though that again, I like that you are warming up to my area of business where I'm saying that we shouldn't swing for the fences for guys. We need to get guys that can come in and be starters, right? Instead of getting like high price guys like a guy like Pat Surtain or Brian Burns. Like I feel like that's not what we need, right? I feel like that would be a little bit redundant. That would be kind of overkill, if you will. But if you're going for a guy like Jeremy Chin, right, where he's 6'3, 220, second round guy, there's another guy there that I think could be advantageous for us in Troy Hill, who's there to play that plays corner for them. And he could be somebody who I would know that would come in a little bit cheaper than Jeremy Chin. There wouldn't have to be a lot of bandwidth to get him on to really get a deal done to get Troy Hill here. And that would also be more of my next point. If I don't believe that we're in a position where we need to be trading for starters. I feel like we could trade for guys that could come in and be a package guy or a backup to losing a starter, right? Like I feel like a Troy Hill would also be good more than a Jeremy Chin because all right, Troy Hill can play your nickel, but what if Demo goes down? You can't put Jeremy Chin out there, right? You'd be able to put Troy Hill out there in a pinch. You see what I'm saying? And that will go to my next guy who I really think that we should give a look at is Kelvin Beachum out of Arizona. I like Kelvin Beachum. They're not using him. He plays tackle for Arizona. He's an older guy. It would kind of be a situation where, yeah, you could look at him and say that he's ring chasing, but really, we're one Trent Williams injury down from our entire offensive line being drastically different. Not worse. I'm not going to say worse, but I am going to say worse. He's one of the best tackles in the league. If we lose Trent Williams, that's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
And
Well, you
I
can't
feel
replace
like,
him.
yeah, you can't. But bringing in a Kelvin Beachum would be able to help us out, especially if something happens along the way in the playoffs to Trent, or if something happens to Colton, right? So I would try to find another way how to strengthen that offensive line, especially at the places where we were worried about, which is tackle, right? It's so hard to get offensive linemen. DBs are kind of out there, but if you think you want something where we can be able to solidify what's going to carry us throughout the year, I think like a Kelvin Beachum will be good for us. I think a Troy Hill would be good for us. Also, another sneaky good corner that would do good for us is Andrew Booth out of Minnesota. I really like Andrew Booth, where he could come in and kind of give us. He could be a slot. I mean, not a slot guy, but he could be an outside corner for us, and he could play down on the inside. So, and again, well, Jeremy Chin could do this as well, but Andrew Booth and Troy Hill will also be good additions to our special teams. So those are kind of my guys that I think would be good guys for us to kind of go after. And again, going with my mode of I like the Randy Gregory signing, not because he's going to get tons of sacks for us, but I feel like we still kept our money together. I don't want to. We still got to pay Brock. We still got to pay Brandon. Like, I don't want to get into the point where we're doing all of these extensions to some of our older stars, and we're kind of like stuck with the bag where we either got to pay these guys or we're in cap hell dealing with dead money, right? So that's what's the awesome part about winning the Super Bowl is like as soon as we win, everybody's going to be thinking about, well, what's next? What do we do next? And I would love for us to win a Super Bowl and still feel great and say, and we didn't cook the books and we're good. So those are my three guys. My number one guy, I would love to get Kelvin Beachum though.
Yeah, no, the question that was brought up was, would Arizona deal with the Niners? I don't know. I mean, teams have dealt with teams in their division in the past, but we are starting to see some trades. Like the Rams just moved Van Jefferson the other day to the Falcons, and we're starting to see some trades. Just period. But yeah, the question is, would Arizona help out the Niners? I like a couple other guys on Arizona as well. Beacham's an interesting name because he's not playing and he's got experience at tackle. But like Rondale Moore, I mean, to me, if there's one offensive player that I would love to see is I'd love to see either Danny Gray get healthy or the Niners wind up with that space creating vertical threat that really scares teams down the field. Rondale Moore would be great. Danny Gray, if he's healthy, would be great. The other one for Arizona is Zach Ertz. I mean, the Niners, Dwelly's a receiver, but not a blocker. Warner's a blocker, but not much of a receiver. Braden Willis looks like he's got a lot of potential, but it might be a year or two off. A guy like Ertz, who's a Bay Area guy who you might be able to get for like a 6th-round pick, especially as an ex-Eagle rolling in to Philly. You need a big catch in a certain situation.
Now, Larry,
Kittle's
I like that. I didn't even think about that.
Kittle's not been 100% physically all year. I think if you the scary part about Trent is if you lose Trent, what are you going to? And that's also the scary part about Kittle. If you did lose Kittle, it's like, okay, then who's your tight end?
There's nothing back there.
There's nothing there as far as
there's like no requisite, like there's no way how to soften that blow. And that's
receiving
question.
Threat.
Right. So if you ask yourself, right, look at our team. We're 5-0, right, Larry? So you say to yourself, all right, I've seen 5 weeks. We're better than 90% of the league. That much we know. So now let's start looking at what could hurt us, right? What could really hurt us? Because at this stage of the game, we're only looking at maybe a handful of teams that we can actually play against, and it could be a real game. So what could hurt us are injuries, messing up what is already done. I feel like our team, I don't have a problem with our offense. Literally, as constructed, if we kept this offense healthy, I feel perfect bringing this offense into Vegas, winning the Super Bowl. But we know that's not realistic as far as the league is concerned. Somebody's going to get nicked up. So for me, That's what I would utilize the trade deadline for, because I feel like as far as talent is concerned, albeit Randy Gregory was a little bit of like a need, right? As far as a starter presence is concerned. But for me, I feel like our trade deadline targets, if we do have any at all, should be focused on depth and
Yeah,
injuries.
I agree. I mean, especially, like DJ Reed would be a nice player if you could get
Yeah.
him. I like Jimmy Ward coming back idea because I think Jimmy can play a bunch of spots. And since you got 3 months of football, you don't know who's going to go down in your secondary. The nice thing about Jimmy, he can play slot, he can play strong, he can play free, he can play corner, inside, outside. So, I mean, I'd be looking for something like that, a DJ Reed, a Jimmy Ward, like a really good, cagey, physical veteran DB. They got a young group. That's what I'd be looking for. Or, and let's talk about Gregory for a minute. I had a chance to interview him this week. Really interesting guy. And, I just think that this is the move that costs nothing and is going to deliver huge. I really believe that because, if you look at the Eagles line last year, Coach, I'm not the biggest Hassan Reddick fan. Like if you said, "Oh, Hassan Reddick, he had gaudy stats last year." Yep, he did. He put up huge numbers.
Right.
Is Hassan Reddick? Is he going to be like this? If you could have any defensive end out there, would you take Hassan Reddick? No, I wouldn't, because I think Hassan Reddick is a guy that was ideally suited to play on that line. Why? Because that line had Fletcher Cox,
Mm-hmm.
Javon Hargrave, Josh
Mm-hmm.
Sweat, Brandon Graham, and they just needed that super speed element to threaten the edge and stretch everybody out. Well, that's what Randy Gregory is in a lot of ways. It's like you got Bosa, you got Armstead, you got Hargrave. Now you get the speed
You
threat
need
off
that
the edge.
element. You need that element.
I think you're going
Yeah.
to see a huge, huge uptick in 49er sack production going forward because Gregory is going to stretch the line with, he loves the wide nine. He told me that Kosera kind of reminds him of Rod Marinelli, his first coach coming out of Nebraska when he was at Dallas. And, he thinks that he's ideally suited to play in this scheme. The guy's been productive. He's long. He's athletic.
Mm-hmm.
He's got crazy bend, and I think the Niners, they've been getting this done up front without a secondary speed rusher opposite Bosa. They have not had a real big time
They've been
speed guy
trying
since
to
D
get
Ford.
you. You said it, Larry. And D Ford was barely here. D Ford was barely D Ford. They have not, Nick. If you think about it,
They need speed
they
off the
haven't
edge.
had speed off the edge in a very long time. In
I
a
know.
very long time. Even so much so that when we had glimpses of it in Arden Key and Charles Omenihu, like we clamored after it. But that really wasn't even kind of like the level of what Randy Gregory can do at half speed. So you are right. It is kind of it's amazing that we got him, but that's just how the cookie crumbles. The rich keep getting richer. I love it. Also, I think that I watched some film on Randy Gregory, and there's a reason. Let's get to it. There's a reason why he's available. He's
Well, why?
underperforming.
What is his problem?
He's playing uninspired. Like I don't see his issue with him as far as talent is concerned, but
He
you
had
look
four
at you.
quarterback hits, coach, in 73 pass rush snaps, which is better than the guys that
It's
better
better
than
than what they
Drake,
got.
Harrell, or Farrell, and Hyder, who's no longer here, who's now with Houston. He's doing better rushing the passer than those guys. I thought you were going to talk about the marijuana thing.
Oh no, not at all. What I was talking about is his issue. I mean, it's 2023, man. Everybody smokes weed. So what I'm saying is that what I'm trying to get at is uh he just, as far as an effort thing, as far as Denver is concerned, and that's another thing. As far as players are, everything is put on the players because they're the ones who are put up front, right? They're the ones who get their contracts get plastered all over the television screen. But Denver isn't exactly been the bastion of like consistency as far as their organization is concerned. It's been a revolving door in and out of there too. So I wouldn't necessarily just take all of what Randy's been through off the field and just kind of attribute it to what exactly transpired at Denver, right? I watched his film. He seemed to be playing uninspired. There's a reason why they're moving on from him. They paid him a bag, and he's not playing like the tip of the spear. Now, the thing that you hope, and that pretty much always happens. I have not seen it yet. But when you get a high profile DB or edge who comes to the team and they are, they may have bust on them, they may be, less than desired. Um when they come here, they have the opportunity to see that this is my last chance, because if I came to San Francisco and didn't make it happen, everybody's going to know it's me. It's me. It ain't them. It's me. All
Right.
of these guys that came in here and handled their business, and not only handled their business, but had success and went on to get more money and better contracts with their careers. If I go to San Francisco and play next to Nick Bosa and don't perform, nobody in their right mind is going to be saying that San Francisco wronged me. It's going to be the other way around. So he does have a motivation to come here and give us his absolute best, as most players do when they come here, right? Arden Key was playing out of his mind here. Charles Omenihu was doing a great job. Samson Ekubom was coming here doing a great job for us. So I see the same thing for Randy. And sharks are born swimming, man. Like the I don't care how you're getting motivated, just be motivated, right? And he's motivated to play here. And I feel as though that you are right, coming back to the 49er situation, kind of getting off of Randy Gregory. This is something that our offense needs, because it's going to be able to get Nick singled up more on the other side of the defensive line. It's going to be able to free up Eric Armstead and get Eric Armstead some of the one-on-ones that he deserves at the 3 technique that we see that Javon Hargraves is getting now with his own skill. So Randy Gregory is going to be able to come in here and do a lot of good things for us. Now, what is he going to give us in the run game? We don't know,
And
right?
how many snaps is he going to play? How many snaps do you think he plays tomorrow?
I would be happy if they package him out. I'd give, if Randy played 20 snaps, I'd be happy.
He's in great shape. I'll say that. He's in
Mm-hmm.
great spirits. I think
How
I don't
did
know
he
what's
look,
going
Larry?
on. I don't know was going on in Denver, really, because Denver's been in a weird team all year. And
Super
by the way,
weird.
Denver cut Frank Clark. The Niner, John Lynch, basically hit the radio yesterday and said, "Hey, we're good. We're good." I just think they don't want to touch Frank Clark because of the character concerns. I think
Mm-hmm.
there's always been kind of character flags on Frank, coming out, even though he did go, I think, high. Didn't he go in the second round? Some people
Mm-hmm.
thought he was going to go in like the 7th round based
Right.
on some of the character issues he had at Michigan. But I could see him either going back to Kansas City, maybe going back to Seattle. I don't think the Niners feel like Frank's a good fit for their locker room,
Well,
though he
there
can
were
rush the
reports that
passer.
yeah,
He can rush.
definitely. And there were reports that Frank has already enrolled his kids in school in Kansas City. So
Yeah. So maybe he wants to go back there. Um, uh, Al Felipe says rumor in Las Vegas is Devontae Adams going to Carolina for Burns. Well, there's no doubt that Carolina wants a number 1 wide receiver to try to help out their young quarterback, and Adams would do that. And if they don't want to pay Burns and they've tabled the contract talks, maybe that makes sense. Maybe that's win-win. The Raiders had Chandler Jones and Max. Chandler now had to be cut because he's having real issues. But
yeah.
you put Burns opposite Max Crosby, man. That right there would make the Raiders defense pretty scary.
Yeah, that would be a good addition for Oakland, but I guess they're bending the knee. If you get rid of Devontae Adams, I pretty much say that they're willing to kind of tank the whole offense. You know what I mean? Look at what they're doing. They already had They got rid of Derek Carr, right? They brought in Jimmy under duress. Jimmy had to get healthy he had to get cleared just to get on, just to start practicing. Okay. Then they finally get Hunter Renfro back. He's looking meh. All right. They lose Darren Waller. And then they have a contract dispute with Josh Jacobs. And he finally comes in the door. So really getting rid of Devontae Adams, in my opinion, as far as Las Vegas is concerned, is that's bending the knee to a rebuild. Like, it's a garage sale officially. Like, once Devontae goes, I think nobody's safe.
Yeah, well, you mean from the only thing is Devontae's kind of expressed
Doesn't want to be
frustration.
there.
Yeah, so I don't know.
So
The
did Josh
Raiders are in a
Jacobs.
weird. Yeah, I mean, and Jacobs is another guy who they're speculating may get moved. Jacobs is a damn good player. I mean, he might be one. I thought he was the best back the Niners faced last year.
Now,
Um,
Larry. Now
I
I'm about
like
to go back. I'm
Jacobs.
about to go back on myself. I'm about to go back. Now I just said that I would love if we stuck to depth for free agents, right?
And now you're
But
saying Jacobs.
if there was a way, because last show I said a sneaky good player or position that nobody's paying attention to is to get another running back, to double down a running back. Elijah's hurt, right? Elijah's hurt.
He's
And
questionable going into the game tomorrow.
okay, and he's
He did
always
practice this
questionable.
week.
Yeah,
and and let's be honest about Elijah.
I love Elijah.
He's really talented, but he's got a big man's game and a small man's body.
He does,
and that doesn't bode well long term.
It does. It's not a good combination for Elijah. But if you think about it, all right, we have TDP, and I just don't believe that they trust TDP as much on the field, right? As far as pass blocking and just doing other things than running the ball. If we got Josh Jacobs, man, that would make us unreal. And then the Christian McCaffrey situation, it would be almost kind of like, and how much younger is Josh than Christian?
They're similar. I think isn't Josh like 26 and Christian's like 27 or 28?
Yeah. So they're
Something
similar
like
in age. I think
he wants to get paid though.
He does
I
want
mean,
to get paid.
I'll say this.
In a dream.
Well,
it's a crack pipe dream. It's cracked, but
I like the idea of adding another good runner or receiver, a weapon, an offensive weapon when you're inside your Super Bowl window. Because I mean, it's all about getting it done right now. It's all about getting it done. And you're right. The Niners would probably be uniquely positioned to acquire a guy like Jacobs if they wanted him because they've got other back. They got 3 young backs. They could say to the Raiders, "Hey, we'll give you a second round pick and your choice of Mason, TDP, or Mitchell. Who do you want?" And that would be a very attractive deal, I think, for the Raiders, especially if the way Mason's looked. And who knows? I mean,
the only thing is another caveat too. They don't run inside and outside zone though. Like Josh Jacobs is a gap scheme guy.
But the Niners have run more gap in the last in the last couple of years, and they can mix it up. I mean, I don't know that anybody runs any one system where it's like, oh, this back truly doesn't fit. If you got a big time NFL Pro Bowl caliber running back, I think you could mix in some plays that fit him.
I think this run game is specific. I like him too, man. That would kind of be swinging for the fences in my opinion. Saying like, all right, we're doubling down on offense, but outside of that, I'm very comfortable with us sticking to depth for the trade deadline. I love what we have.
Yeah, next topic on the Niners is the D-line underperforming. They ranked 24th in sack rate through 5 weeks. Are they underperforming or are they is it a combination? I mean, think of it this way, Coach. Everybody knows when you play the Niners that you better get the ball out quick. I mean, I thought the Rams just kind of sold out and were like, you know what? As soon as Stafford hits the top of his drop, the ball's coming out. And, whether we complete it or throw it incomplete, we're just going to pepper, Puka Nacua short all day. And I just think that when you look at Bosa and Hargrave and this Niner D-line, you're not going to drop 7 steps back there and let those guys do it. So, I mean, Bosa's got 27 pressures. And Javon Hargrave has 19 pressures. So the Niners, if you look at pressures, they trail only the Lions. Lions have 124. Niners have 116. There's only 9 teams in the league that have 100 pressures so far. So the Niners don't have a lot of sacks, but they are getting a lot of pressures. Have they answered the problem with Gregory? The fact that they rank 24th in sack rate. Are you concerned at all that they're underachieving up front?
No, no. Because the pressures are there. I mean, the way we are played is 100% what you said. Teams know that if you play traditionally against us and try to get to 3 to 5 step drops against us, you're playing in our hands, essentially. Um, I understand that Nick Bosa, and that's what Randy Gregory is. He's a tenth of a second addition. We're race car drivers, man, and we're fighting tenths of a second. We already got a fast car. So for me, I don't see the numbers of ranking our defense in the middle of the season just doesn't help anything because we're trying to figure out how teams are playing us versus us trying to figure out how we're going to attack other teams with the new way they play us. So we have to figure out ways how to get to the quarterback now because teams are not traditionally just dropping back and giving our defensive line time to tee back and pin their ears back, especially on third down. And that's specifically why sometimes you look at a Drake Jackson and you may say, oh, he's not really getting the production that he needs. But, Drake is young and he's playing on a team where we're not actually we're getting every team's best shot. So with Randy here being a speed rusher and being able to get more one-on-one matchups across the line of scrimmage with the defensive line, I do believe that's why they got Randy. But I don't think they necessarily got Randy Gregory because they were disappointed with what we were doing. But again, I don't think that they're looking at what's there and what's not there and just reacting. I feel as though that they're doing what we're doing right now. They're charting, they're forecasting ahead. And what they're saying is that down the line, we're going to need this, right? If we look at the uptick of where we believe Drake Jackson's going to be as he matures through the season, that's another thing. The growth doesn't stop just because the season started, right? Drake Jackson has still tons of time and room to become everything that we expect him to be, right? And he's starting off very well. But I just feel as though that Randy Gregory being here isn't an indictment on our defensive line, but it's just saying that more or less we're trying to keep the level that we have, right? And the sacks will come, right? It's almost like being a shooter in the league. The only way if your shot ain't falling, the last thing you want to do is stop shooting, right? You got to keep shooting. So
Right.
for us, is I look at pass rushers in that ilk of the last thing you want to do is stop rushing if you're not getting there. You just got to get more. You just got to get better players that'll be able to help you in those situations. So yeah, I feel like the Niners are playing 3D chess, man. It's not necessarily cause and effect, but it's more along the lines of we already know where we want to go. We want to go to the last game of the year, right? And we're picking up all of the rations and the supplies that we need along the way to help us with that journey. And I see those acquisitions in Randy Gregory being emblematic of that.
I think this is the bust out weekend for the Niner D line. I really
Mm-hmm.
do. I think this is the game where people go, "Whoa!" Why? Because this Browns line is banged up. The center's
Mm-hmm.
banged up. Joel Batonio, their best offensive lineman, in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
is out. From what I'm hearing, David Njoku's going to be out. You got Dawan Jones. You got the Alabama guy Wills, who struggled. I think
Struggling.
this. I think this is the week where the 49er defensive line just totally dominates. I'm just trying to wonder if it's going to be how close of a game it's going to be. All right, who's the better player in your mind between Myles Garrett and Nick Bosa?
Nick Bosa. I believe
See,
Nick Bosa is
I,
better
I
than
think
Miles
I
Garrett.
think Garrett right now might be better. I love Bosa. He's been fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Garrett's got 5.5 sacks. He's got 17 pressures. He's got 13 hits on the quarterback. He's got 5 tackles for loss in 4 games. His pass rush win rate is 28.1%, which is sixth in the league. He prefers to go to rush from the right defensive end spot, so he's probably going to get Trent most of the day. So I'm eager to see what Trent can do with Garrett. Trent even admitted this week that he's had a couple nights this week that he didn't sleep all that well thinking about Garrett on Sunday. I just think as much as I love Bosa, Garrett this year to me is the closest I've seen to Bruce Smith. I mean, Bruce Smith was 285. This guy's more like 275, 280. but he's monster at that. I mean, he moves so well at 275, 280. I don't know that I've seen a guy move like this. I mean, this guy's huge, fast. He's destroying teams, absolutely destroying teams. He's getting in the backfield like he's making these tackles just look like high school players. I mean, he's just
Hmm.
absolutely dominant. I love Bosa. I think Bosa's more of a pass rushing student and technician than Garrett, but Garrett's maybe bigger and faster, and playing incredible right now. I'll say this: if it's awfully close because both these guys, who's the defensive player of the year? I don't know, but every time I've watched Garrett and I've seen the Browns 2 or 3 times already this year, he just is unblockable. Like, to me, the biggest concern is that Garrett knocks out Purdy because he's so big and so fast and gets in the backfield with such momentum. Any hit he gets on your quarterback, and your quarterback's probably going to be hurt. I mean, the guy is just absolutely massive and fast.
Yeah, I mean, asking who's better, Nick Bosa or Miles Garrett, is asking what do you like, Rolls Royce or Bentley?
Yeah.
So I think Nick has the nod in my opinion because he's younger. He's
I'm a
got a lot.
Bentley man myself, or over the. I'd go Bentley over the
I'm
Rolls.
going Rolls, baby. It's
Really,
classic. It is what it is.
with
Rolls
the
Royce.
big
You can't.
grill, you like the big grill up front?
Oh man, I need the Rolls, dog. Yes, I need the Ghost. So my my thing is, I believe that Nicky's got a lot more left in the tank than Miles. Right? Now, Miles has been here for a lot longer. He's been here since 2017. So in how many defensive player of the years does Miles Garrett have?
I don't think any.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think he does. I
But
I
the
see.
film shows he's just been incredible
I
this
mean,
year. This year he's been otherworldly. I mean,
yeah. I mean,
the thing that's so amazing about him to me is
mhm.
just the speed that he can get to at 275. I mean, it's like you got to be kidding me, man. I I'm eager to see, and like, what is Trent gonna do? What's Trent's advantage on him? Because I almost feel like he can beat
the
Trent
only
with
thing that Trent
speed
gives up,
or power.
the only thing that Trent gives up over him is Trent's got maybe 50 pounds on him. That's about it.
Yeah,
But outside of that, I would say that he's just as strong as Trent, if not stronger. He's definitely faster than him and more athletic, and he's 6'4". So Trent's got to go have a day. He's gonna have a day. This is gonna be a real. I mean, but are we doing this right now? Are we breaking into the matchup or a little bit? But you do know that the matchup really is going to be the Browns defense versus Niners offense. That's the game.
yeah.
That's the game,
Number
right?
one
So
defense in football.
yeah, it's the number one defense in football. So we're going to be going against the best defense that we've seen all year. And you know what? I thought we were going to say that against Dallas, but we saw what we did to Dallas. So you never know what we do against Cleveland, especially with that offense who's not going to be doing that defense no help, any favors by staying on and off the field. So there is going to be a position where we do just gas them and we play around them. But yeah, I'm going to be looking at what Miles does against Miles does against Trent. But I do see Nick Bosa. I'll say this: Miles Garrett is always good. He's always going to be the tip of the spear. But Nick is coming. And on top of it, as far as just longevity is concerned, I feel like Nick has a little bit longer to go than Miles does. I like Nick's hands. He's a little bit more technical. Miles is very athletic, but I feel like Nick's skill set is built to last because he is more of a technician. He does use his hands and he is slung low and built for power, right? And he plays in that wide nine system that always puts him in a position where athletically Miles just he's gifted to be in those positions where Nick naturally comes from a position where he's always coming to get the quarterback out of that wide nine. So I just like the way Nick's career is set up more than Miles is because I see Nick being in his 30s, still being able to play at the level that he's playing at right now. I don't think Miles can play like this in his 30s. I mean, his number one asset is his athleticism. I mean, his body, he is a one of one freak of nature as far as athleticism is concerned. But when I watch them both, Nick's technical ability is, I mean, some of the stuff that Nick is doing is like the sides. I mean, side scissors, stabbing, long arming, like all of that stuff is, garden variety defensive line technique. But Nick does it, and it looks like Jordan shooting the fadeaway. It's
Oh, and
perfect.
Nick.
You know what I mean, Larry? It's perfect.
He's an instructional video on how to play the position. I
It's
mean,
perfect.
he's
Yeah.
technically sound.
Like you watch
Garrett,
Miles, and he's a freak of like the athleticism is like, my God, like what are you gonna do with him? But you watch Nick, and you feel like you're watching somebody go to work. Like you're watching Jordan play. Like Jordan would get 30, but it would be so efficient that it didn't even look like he had the ball all game. That's how I feel about Nick when I see him play. He's just efficient, right? And his moves are textbook. Like almost to the point where how do you get the offensive lineman to commit that way for you to even shoot it that way? Like his moves are straight out of the dictionary. Webster shit.
Oh, it's Nick's the better player, but Garrett is maybe having the better year.
Did I just wear you down? Did I just wear you down?
No. I mean, I think Nick is the best I've seen, really, going back to maybe Richard Dent or somebody, as far as just, the guy who's got the speed, the technique, just everything working at the same time. He's just spectacular. But I look at Garrett and see a little bit of Bruce Smith, and Bruce Smith in his heyday was scary. I mean, scary. And that's what Garrett is right now. He's scary. I want your thoughts on this matchup, and we got a couple things I want to hit on the chat. We got some people asking some questions that we'll address here. The Krueg Show has partnered, though, with Underdog Fantasy this football season. Underdog Fantasy gives fans a way to play alongside your favorite football team all season long. Check out their weekly Pick'em players, where you pick between 2 to 5 players. Select whether they'll go higher or lower on their game stats. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by going 5 for 5. It's a fantasy game, but you can win real money. And you can enter the same as me, or you can make your own picks. Sign up using the link that's in the description and use that promo code Krueg, Krueg, and they'll match you up to $100. Underdog Fantasy, a proud sponsor of the Krueg Show. We should also mention other sponsors here as well. MarinAutoglass.com, 415-883-3030. New York style Italian sausage has been with us since the beginning. And then, of course, Pig and a Pickle, the title sponsor of the Krueg Show, the best barbecue in Northern California. Pig and a Pickle. Get the brisket chili. Go say hi to Damon and Mary. Tell them that Larry Krueger sent you. All right. Looking at the matchup, Stefanski 8-17 straight up as an underdog, 20-10 as a favorite. They're obviously a clear dog in this one. They lost Nick Chubb, and since that point, they've had 2 games where they've rushed for under 100 yards without Chubb. Jerome Ford is nice, but he's not Chubb. He's nothing close. And yet Kyle is 1-8 against Schwartz. When you look at that number, that kind of stands out. But the 49ers with CMC are 17-1. And they're 14-4 against the spread. He's been amazing. Purdy is 12-0 in games that he's finished. But this is Cleveland's number one defense and the number one pass defense. So I think it's a big run game for the Niners. The Niners don't turn it over. They're really as good as anybody as far as turnover differential. Browns are 29th at -7. So I see a 49er win where the Niners run it a lot, have some struggles at times with the Cleveland defense, play field position all day, punting, burying Cleveland deep down the field, forcing Cleveland's offense with P.J. Walker to drive the length of the field against the Niners. I really think the Niners are going to win this game, and I'll go with a little bit lower scoring. The Niners have been scoring them in the 30s. I'm going to say this one's going to be more like 23-6. It's going to be kind of an ugly game. I'm going to say 23-6 49ers. They win, they cover, but if I was betting this thing, I would take the Niners, tease it down, and then play the under. Tease it up and go under. So that's how I see this matchup. How do you see the matchup, Coach?
I see it along the same way. It's going to be a low-scoring affair on the offensive side of the ball. I just don't think they have much for us. PJ Walker, as you said, not going to do much. I don't think Njoku's playing. Mari Cooper is a shell of himself. Jedrick Willis is going to have a hard day. He's been struggling before he saw us. And again, like you said, Nick Chubb is not there, and I'm not really a big fan of Jerome Ford. Don't see much in him. So like we talked about.
Just a guy, huh? He's a jag,
He's a jag. That's been going around lately. He's just a guy. But, yeah, he is just a guy. As far as defense is concerned, the real game is going to be our offense against the number one defense in the league. Now, thank God this isn't just a one-off because it'd be a crazy knockout affair seeing who could win. I wish we could just watch them play for 4 quarters. But that's not the way the game works. I will say – I got us scoring 28. I got us getting some defensive touchdowns too. I'm not really putting this past this offense. Our defense is too good to not be able to get opportunities against a good defense. And that's something that I do feel is going to happen in this game. And that's why my score is going to be what it is. But I think we're going to be playing with a lot of short fields on offense. This defense for the Browns isn't really going to get a chance to really tee off against us because their offense is going to just keep putting them in bad positions.
Do you like any of their weapons at all? I mean,
on offense?
To me, the only way the Browns have a good day is if Elijah Moore 100 plus yards.
Yeah, Elijah Moore. This is going to be Isaiah Oliver day because really that's it. It's Elijah Moore. I don't see anything in Peoples-Jones, and Njoku's not playing. Isaiah Ford is a jag, and Amari Cooper is a shell of himself. I don't get it. So really it's going to be Elijah Moore as like their number one guy that we would have to worry about on offense. But I believe that our defense is going to get opportunities against this offense, ergo giving us short fields and giving us a lot of good field position on our side of the ball for offense. So I see this one going I see another 30 burger, man. I see this one going 33, 30, 30, 10. Maybe, but one of the things that I have noticed about us is that we're starting fast, not only for the season, but games. We're starting games fast. So
touchdown and getting touchdowns in the red zone.
Right. Now we have to talk about it because we got to eat our vegetables too. Jim Schwartz is 1-8 against us. We're 1-8.
Shanahan's 1-8 against Schwartz. Yep.
Yeah. Shanahan's 1-8 against Schwartz. And the point differential is crazy. I think we average like just over 2 touchdowns, like 15 points against.
And not only that, Cleveland's defense has only got in the red zone 6 times, or has only allowed opposing offenses to get in the red zone 6 times all year, fewest in the NFL. They keep you out of the red zone.
Yeah, they're a team now. All right. And Jeff Schwartz, definitely does know this offense. And he's got the track. Jim Schwartz definitely does have the record, and he's got the record to prove it. So for all of the good things that we expect, they get paid too. So you want to respect your opponent. But I think that this is a game where, and again, I say this all the time, why I'm so bullish on our team after seeing us for a month is these are complementary wins. This isn't where our offense is so good that we're just blowing teams out and our defense is along for the ride. We're winning in complementary ways. Defense is helping out the offense. Offense is helping out the defense. Special teams is coming through for us. So one hand is proverbially washing the other. So I got this one 30-10. I think we're going to score quick and early. And again, I think that Cleveland offense is going to shoot their defense in the foot. They're going to give us a lot of opportunistic plays.
I think that's a great prediction. I seriously, 30-10, 31-10. I could see something like that too. 2 last things, and we'll jet. NFL fines George Kittle $13,699 for displaying his his "Fu Dallas" T-shirt under his pads. I hate this, man. These guys risk paralysis on every snap.
It's too much.
It's like, you know what? It's a talking point. It's juicy. It makes the rival. It makes the fans think, and to me, it's in the NFL's best interest to make the fans think, whether it's true or not, that these teams truly dislike each other and really have a disdain for each other as franchises. That's good for football. That's good for eyeballs. That makes it more interesting. The NFL
And it's tradition.
and stop taking money out of these guys' pockets. It's sickening, really.
It is. I mean, when you really know how the sausage is made, player fines is probably one of the most disgusting things in sports. When you really know who makes the money and how things are split up, it's in
you're winning both ways.
Yeah, thank you. It's almost kind of like you're the only person that truly is hurt is the player, right? And you're just deciding to make an arbitrary, like, there's no fine book. There's no precedent on what you should get fined for if you do anything. It really is somebody is looking at you and they don't feel good about what you did, and they just come up with a number. And then
think
they
about
go
the
from
alternative.
There.
Think about the alternative, Coach. What if every guy in football, what if every Cowboy said, "Hey, I love the Niners, man. I don't care. Whatever. Hey, Kittle, how do you feel with the Cowboys? I love the Cowboys. I don't really care either way. I'm just playing, collecting my check."
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
you know what I mean.
You can't.
Is that better?
Yeah,
is it better for everybody to think that nobody gives a damn either way, and that you know what, I'm too cool for school? Yeah. His agent's my agent. I love Micah. Micah and I we're boys. We're hanging out. Oh, yeah, and you know what? He loves me, and I love him, and everybody loves everybody. Do we want that, or do we want, hey, you know what? F the Cowboys. Screw them, you know? It's like, I don't know. I mean, I know they want to have a family thing and this and that, and I get the swearing and the whole deal, but come on, man.
Yeah,
if anything, it adds,
exactly where you're coming from, man.
Juice to the rivalry. It doesn't take anything from anything. And what do they do with all this money, by the way? They find if $13,000, I'd like to know, where does that $13,000 actually go? Does it go to the Roger Goodell, Maui summer vacation fund?
I got no clue, man. I mean, I think it's stupid. It pokes at the game. And really what it does, in my opinion, is that it shows that you are insecure. Like, you want to be able to have your hand on literally every aspect of the game. And what that was kind of like a moment that transcended the suits. It's like, hey, this is our rivalry, right? This is between people who have been inside of this legacy for decades, and this is something that's about us. If you know, you know. This is an inside thing. And they felt a little insecure about it, so they fined him. Right? They tried to make it a PC thing, but really, those who understand real football and understand the NFL, they know that not only was that a shot, but it was apt, it was done at the right time, and it was poignant. It was the perfect moment to do it. That's like fining Desmond Howard for doing the Heisman against Michigan. If he would have did, like, you don't find somebody from doing that. That's a part of the culture. The fact that George reduxed it and made that tradition alive again is what's cool about the NFL. You don't find something like that. It's an homage to the past. And I wish they saw it that way. They don't get it.
Yeah, I don't need everybody being kumbaya. I like players. I like there being bad blood. I like the NHL for the fact they drop the gloves and fight it out. I like a little bad blood in my sports. I like a little anger. I like a little, it feels more authentic too. And then if you sit there and go, hey man, I love the Cowboys. They love us. We love them. They love us. We love Philly. Philly loves us. Enough. I want to believe the Niners hate Philly. I want to believe Philly hates the Niners. Yeah. That makes me more interested in watching the game.
That's
the fact that everybody loves everybody is not good. That's not good. Mm-hmm. I like the old days when Larry Bird hated Dr. J. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When anyway. Now let's hit the chats because there are a bunch of people want to chat. All right. So WTM says, It's only so much a team can do against us getting the ball out that quick. Two-step drop will not beat this Niner team, no day. Can you score 30? Yeah, that's really it.
Yeah.
I mean, are you trying to beat the Niners? Then you better try. You're gonna have to take some chances. If you're not trying to beat the Niners, if you're just trying to keep it close, then yeah, do it.
We're not that team anymore because it's not about beating us. It's about everything that you bring to the table being enough. We're to the point now where when we get off the bus, teams know that they shouldn't win the game.
Yeah.
Right. We're to that point now.
Look at the Niners right now. They're
Yeah.
scoring 35 a game. They're giving up 13 a game or whatever. They get like a plus 20-point differential. They're winning most games by 20. WTM, Garrett won't touch Purdy. Trent will be Trent. All right.
Okay. That's
Said
faith.
it here first. Said it here first. We got this one from Green Glass Full. He says, always a pleasure, fellas. Thanks, Coach. Thanks, Krueg. Thanks, Green
man.
Glass Full. Appreciate you, man. Have a great Saturday. Rob says, Purdy throwing net touchdown every 15.1 dropbacks. Brady did that in 2007. Rodgers in 2011. Manning in 2004. Very rare. Deserves respect. Yeah, I think the way Brock's playing right now, he's starting to get that respect. I really do believe that though, I mean, there's always going to be people. You saw Shannon Sharp say he's a system quarterback. But you know what? I'll just say this. I think he's both. He's legit and he's a product of the system.
Right.
Because like when you watch that Kyle Shanahan sprint, stealing that Miami sprint option or sprint to motion, and you see Ayuk just wide freaking open. That is the brilliance of play design. So he's benefiting at times from brilliant play design. He's benefiting at times from awesome weaponry, but he's also playing really, really well. And all I would say is same thing about Tua, same thing about Mahomes. They also at times are benefiting from Andy Reid or Mike McDaniel, and at times they're benefiting from Kelsey and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. So I mean it's never all one thing, but definitely I think scheme is part of it, talent is part of it, and then Purdy's just really balling out as well.
I mean, he's playing out of this world.
Yeah, he's playing. He's throwing with, as JT O'Sullivan said, world-class anticipation. It's Vito, baby. How would you feel about Xavier McKinney or Adoree Jackson if the Giants are potential sellers?
I like Xavier McKinney.
Yeah, he's physical. He's really physical.
I mean that's your chin. That's your Jeremy chin comp right there.
Yeah, the only thing is McKinney's not a linebacker or a corner. He's just a safety. Adoree's a nickel. So he's a nickel corner. You could argue they need a nickel corner. I mean, here's my only thing on the defensive backfield. You got Luter coming back, and you got Womack, who I really loved in training camp. So it's like if you don't get a corner, I'm okay with those two guys if they're coming back. If they're not coming back, then I think corner becomes a primary need. The only reason I like Chin is because I think Chin can play that nickel corner. So if I thought McKinney could play that nickel corner, I would definitely want him too. Daryl 49er for life. Smock says, did you guys see after Dak threw the interception, he threw his helmet and it got intercepted? Oh, there you go. Didn't see that.
Yeah, crazy.
I saw him smiling. That's what I saw. We got this one, 69ers. Could this team be the best 49er team of all time? Well, that's going to be proven in the playoffs, but that's also unlikely. You got the 84 Niners went 15-1. The 89 Niners rampage through the playoffs and Super Bowl, won 55-10 in the bowl. The 94 Niners had Dion and all kinds of talent and won, 49-26 in the Super Bowl and rampaged everybody and beat Dallas. Probably not the best team of all time, but who knows? It's all there. It's all there. It's all how you play this thing out. What if this Niner team runs the table? I only see really 3 or 4 scary games. Cincy, at Philly, the Seattle games, maybe Baltimore. Other than that, I think the Niners should win out, but you never know. You got to play them out one at a time. But what do you think? Best team of all time, Coach?
We're
Is
getting
is
up
this
there.
team have that kind of potential?
We're getting up there, man. We're definitely getting up there as being one of the best teams of all time. So I mean, let's bear out the season. It's 5-0. And we'll see what we can do with that. I mean, I feel as though where we stand in the season and where we're looking at for charting out, there is that 3 week. Where is that at? There's a 3 week bump for us where we see Seattle. I think we see Seattle. Where is it? It's right
Yeah,
here.
it's 2 times in 3 weeks,
12,
which
we
it's
see
going to be on
Seattle, we see the
Thanksgiving.
Eagles, and
There,
then we see Seattle right there.
yeah, I mean
Week 12 to week
Thanksgiving at their
14.
place, and that's
That's
going to
going to
be
be the one.
tough. That's going to
Week
be
12 to
tough,
week 14 is going to be weird. You know what I'm saying?
and it's
So,
just going to be hard to beat any NFL team twice in a 3 week window.
right, right. So, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. But, what we need to do is just make sure that we stay diligent and stay healthy. That's why I keep going back to the trade deadline. Like we really should start focusing on the depth and the longevity of this year because what we have right now it's not a continuation of last year, right? Each team is year by year. This is a snapshot in time. So what we need to do is go all in for what we need to do now. And that's keep our depth on our offensive and defensive line and possibly be able to get in another DB. That's where I
Yeah,
see our needs are.
yeah. Ricky Williams says, "How do the guards fare against Garrett? Yeah,
Mhm,
if they they don't play as many games up front, let's say as the Niners do, but
mhm.
I like Banks. He has a shoulder injury. He did practice this week. Burford struggled a little bit more than Banks, but Garrett's a load. I mean, it's just Garrett's a load. It's as simple as
Mhm.
that. Ken Konecki's shouting you out. He says, with a straight face, coach, say Ryan Tannehill is better than Brock.
Oh, we went through this. So Ken Konecki, put Ken back up. Come on, Ken. You've been grinding my ground beef for about 3 weeks now, Ken. Okay. So look, yes, under duress, I did say Ryan Tannehill. And on the next show, I admitted, yes, I was wrong. What else do you want from me? At this stage of the game, you're just paying for Larry's cable bill, helping him out to go to Costco and buy some more croissants.
Yeah, Ken,
Dude,
seriously, coach,
I
I,
gave it to you.
he threw out Tannehill, but come on,
I was
he's thought about
wrong.
it
I
and
was
he was
wrong.
wrong.
But I'll give it to you, kid. Keep
Hey,
coming,
look,
baby.
this is why I love streaming with the coach because coach and I are kindred spirits on this front. We both are confident in our opinions, confident in what we know, state things with authority, and when we are wrong, we cop to it and we don't run from it. And
We
that's the
got a
beauty
cop
of
too.
you
So
got to cop to it. I've been
you got
wrong,
a
you've
cop
been
too.
wrong. If you haven't been wrong, you haven't been doing this very long.
Yeah.
And okay, so that's that one. Okay, now we have the serious portion of our
Let's
chat.
get to it. Let's get to it.
Um, wait, one last one here. Hicks says it's a double standard with these pundits. Thank you. Okay. Okay, so now we have people asking in the chat. Here we go. Connor Lambert. You guys see the jackhammer allegations?
Mm-hmm.
I have. I have seen that this morning. And we have this one
Christian.
from Christian Rocha who says,
Yeah.
thoughts on the jackhammer situation. And then he sends that one to me, and then he sends this one to you.
Same thing.
Thoughts on the jackhammer situation.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go first, Coach, or
Nah,
what do you?
go ahead. I'll come up after.
Um, I don't know a lot about the the jackhammer situation. I'm gonna have to do more reading on the story. Reading it this morning and kind of seeing this stuff. This is not who I know Jack to be, but you know what? How much does anybody know anybody at this point? I don't like what I'm reading, but I also have been around the block enough to know that you got to really do your due diligence and find out before you get into some strong public stances. I've had strong public stances on athletes who have had reports on them that have circulated and only to be backtracking later on. but I don't like what I'm reading, and I have streamed on a regular basis with Jack on Fridays at 10:45, and we'll just have to see where that goes. And I've got to do more reading and maybe talk to a few people about this before I really decide what I'm going to do as far as that live stream with Jack. I'm sure there's two sides to every story, but I don't really know anything more about it other than what I've read. I'll say this: what I have read, I don't like, and I don't endorse. And at the same time, that doesn't that's so inconsistent with the person that I feel like I know from covering the team with him. Um, and I'm just gonna have to do a little deep dive into this and kind of have to make a decision for myself about how I go forward or don't go forward streaming on this channel with Jack. But this is not something I was aware of, and that's really all I can say at this point. Brother Bob says his real name is Jeff Patterson. Will you have him on? Um, I don't like what I've read here, and I've got a few days to think about it. I would say just give me a few days to kind of do the deep dive and do my own due diligence and find out what's real and what's not real, and we will make some decision at some point here in the next few days. I'll say this: I don't endorse what I've read, nor would anybody, and yet that is not consistent with the jackhammer that I feel like I know. But at the end of the day, I can't really say that I know anybody that well, and I just I don't want. It's not a cop out, or I'm trying to spin anything. I feel like I owe it to myself, my channel, and my son who's involved with my channel, everybody involved with my channel to do a deep dive and figure out exactly what's the real story here and kind of follow this and see where it goes. And we'll just have to wait and see between now and next Friday what we decide to do as far as our co-stream on Fridays.
Mhm.
Coach, do you have a thought on I don't know if you've read anything about this. There's an internet report
Mhm.
circling on Jack Hammer and what he did when he was a football coach in Modesto. Um,
Yeah. So I'm not living under a rock. So I saw the stuff fall out just like everybody else did. Uh, it's unfortunate because what we deal with here is, nobody has to be here. Fans and supporters don't have to listen to what we have to say, or they don't have to, give us their trust. So honestly, you don't like what you read, like you said. It's rough to read. And really, the most important people that need answers are behind closed doors right now. So this is bigger than YouTube. Like, this is bigger than videos. This is about a stance of how a man is portrayed in his life and in his career, and the consequences that he is going to be facing or not be facing. So, and that's a fight that we don't have anything to do with. So, you know, it is what it is, man. I'm humbled to be here, and I understand that being able to get on here just because I bought a camera and bought a mic doesn't mean that this isn't a privilege. Like, I'm privileged to talk to these supporters and have people listen to me and tell me that I'm wrong. This is a privilege, right? It's not a right to be here. So,
Brother Bob says, was he a coach before at that school? His name, Brother Bob, I don't know the answer to any of these questions, really. I mean, I'm just reading what you're reading. Um, we've got this one from Brother Bob. He says, answer my questions. Do you know his real name? I don't. I don't. I call him Jack Hammer. That's how I know him. I know him as Jack Hammer. So, I do believe in innocent till proven guilty, but this is also something that goes back to 2006, and I guess the whatever punishment was coming of this has already been metered out, and it's not just that he was accused of something; that he actually was sentenced to something. So once again, I'm literally we started. I woke up at 8:15, took a quick shower, saw that on Twitter, and ran in here to do a live stream with the coach. So give me at least 24 hours to go through it and read through it. But yeah, I have streamed with Jack for the last couple months last several months on Fridays, and I'm going to have to do my due diligence and make the decision for myself and for the channel of how we're going to go forward. So, and I wish I could just say definitively how it's going to shake out. I don't, but it's something I'm going to definitely look into because that's something that I care about. Brother Bob says, no, Purdy's pimp, I have daughters. This is not remotely cool. I agree. I have a daughter as well. So, but there's limits to what I can say at this point because I haven't read the entire thing. Give me at least an hour or two to read the entire thing. And I promise you before Friday comes around, I'll have some official position on this. And some further statement on this and how we're either going to go forward or not go forward in our co-stream. So that's really all I can say. I didn't want to turn our entire
no, but
into this because it's not our deal.
But I'm glad it's not what
we're here for. But it has nothing to do with you or I. So it's like
and
we're doing a stream.
I listen. We curry favor and ask for support from the fans. It had to be addressed, right? They support us. They give us their money. They tell us that we're right, that we're wrong. Like, it had to be addressed. So I'm glad we addressed it.
Brother Bob says you're losing me if you have him on. Bad enough with DB. No, I hear you. But Brother Bob, believe me, I hear you. These are very serious allegations. Very serious allegations. And in no way, am I minimizing this at all. I just want to, say to those who, see our streams, the nature of my relationship with Jack is professional. We're not social friends. I've never been to his home. He's never been to my home. I don't know him that well, but I feel like I do know him a little bit from being around covering the team. So, but once again, that's my my association. That's my knowledge of him. I don't really know him that well, and I want to at least do the due diligence of reading through what he's being accused of, top to bottom. And as I said, we normally stream on Friday. I promise you all that we will have some official decision on that before this upcoming Friday. Brother Bob says, losing me and my $2 super chats. That's right, my money. Oh, yeah. I can't lose Brother Bob. But obviously, Brother Bob, I know you're joking, but this is obviously a very serious situation.
Yeah, it's serious.
And we don't want to make light of it.
No, our followers have children. Our followers are coaches and teachers and have little ones in their lives. Like, this hits home.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, and this is far more serious than what we're doing here. So Brother Bob drops another one. He says, we need to talk about DB next week too. His ish. Not a fan of Damon either. So there you go. All right, people are now trying to say different things in the chat. I don't want to get into some of the, Christian Rokas is all fired up here and wants to go into a whole thing. There will be time for us to address this on a more complete level than what we have this morning. But that's really all I have for you is that what I've read, I don't like, I don't endorse, and we'll have to make a complete deep dive into what exactly happened here and make an official announcement before Friday. Brother Bob says, I'm not joking. I'm serious. I do not condone this. Nobody does. Brother Bob, there's not a single person out there who there's not two sides to this. I mean, there might be two sides to his story, but there's not two sides to if what he's being accused of is accurate, there's not two sides to that. We're all on the same side on that. Just Vito baby says you can have my $2 for pig in a pickle. Haha. There you go. Anyway, we appreciate everybody. I hope everybody has a phenomenal rest of your Saturday. Coach, what do you got planned? A little college ball on the docket today?
Yeah, we got some college ball rolling. Kicking it with my boy. I got a little patient at home. My baby's sick, so my girl is sick. So I'm running around just trying to make sure we get her together. So right now we at home, circling the wagons, getting tea together, get the Vicks Vapor rubbing. So I'm over here. I got me a good little patient over here.
Nice. Well, I got my 35-year high school reunion tonight.
Jesus.
I know. Should be fun in the city.
Oh, that's gonna be good. Good.
I'm hoping for two things. See some old friends and hope my windows don't get smashed and stuff stolen out of my vehicle. I've heard it's happened once or twice in the city this year.
It is what it is, man.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, hey, thanks to everybody, Coach. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next Saturday.
Oh, it's going to be awesome, man. Thanks for having me again, man. And thanks for everybody listening to me and just, being there for me. And what we're probably going to start doing in the weekends is probably starting a call-in show. So I got a call-in show that I'm going to start promoting coming up on the weekend. So stay tuned for that, guys. I'm going to start putting out the promo for it.
Oh, I love the call-in shows. To me, we did some calls yesterday. Kevin and I do a Wednesday night call-in show. And there's just some vibe about the call-in show that's very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, you want to reach out and touch, man.
It's cool. It's cool. And you get to see who the audience is. And then you can talk to your fans and you realize they're coming from all parts of the country. It's Vegas. It's Virginia. It's Maryland. It's, Texas. It's Southern California. It's Seattle, Washington. I'm in Oregon. We had a kid call the other night from Tucson. It's like, I watch every video. I'm watching every show. It's like, it's very, very cool. Coach, have a great Saturday, man.
Thanks, brother. Good seeing you, man.
Yep, take care of the great Coach stopping by on this Saturday. All right, let's final mention of our sponsors here. We're brought to you by MarinAutoglass.com, 415-883-3030, New York-style Italian sausage, pig and a pickle, and, of course, Underdog Fantasy. Click that link in the description. Hit the promo code Krueg. They'll match you up to $100. If you haven't seen Marin County's location on Pig and a Pickle, it looks a little bit like this.
So New York style sausage was started over 7 years ago. We are the largest producer of fresh Italian sausage on the West Coast.
What makes our sausage in New York style is really the recipe came from back east, from New York, from Connecticut.
If you look at all of our labels, there's maximum 4 or 5 ingredients, which we're really proud of.
There's no preservatives, no MSG, fresh in, fresh out.
The pork comes in fresh, goes out fresh. There's never any freezing throughout the process. We've always used fine quality cuts. We're never gonna deter from that. It's one of the reasons why our sausage is so good. I guarantee you put our sausage up against anybody else's from a flavor standpoint, no one will beat it, hands down.
And do yourself a favor and do me a favor. Go buy a package of the New York style Italian sausage. Guaranteed you will love it, guaranteed.
All right, coming down the home stretch on the Krueg Show. It has been an amazing couple days on the Krueg Show. By the way, we crested the 25,000 sub plateau last Sunday. We are at 25,879, almost at 25, almost at 26,000. So if you're one of the hundreds of people still in the chat and you've yet to hit like and subscribe, please do hit that like, and that always helps the algorithm. More people find the shows. And then if you hit subscribe and click that notification bell every time we go live, you'll get an update to check out the Krueg Show. And man, we have just been absolutely cooking the last couple of days. 1.6 million views of our live streams and videos in the last 4 weeks alone. That is the most we've ever had in any 4-week period in the history of the channel, which dates back to March of 2022. So I'm truly humbled by that. We've added over 2,700 subs in the last 4 weeks alone. We've had 210,000 watch time hours in the last 4 weeks alone. So the channel is absolutely blowing up. Thanks to everybody who helped us get to 25,000. We're going to try to take it to 50,000 before the end of the football season. I don't know that that's possible, but we're going to try. Couple things that I would love you guys to check out. I did an interview yesterday with Jesse Sapolu, former Niner offensive lineman, 4-time Super Bowl champion, 2-time Pro Bowler. Great guy. Is in town today for that 49ers Golden Heart Fund run. And we did an interview with him yesterday afternoon. And we're going to do more interviews with Niner alums highlighting the Golden Heart Fund and trying to raise money for the Golden Heart Fund, which is really a fund that was started by Eddie DeBartolo's Hall of Fame speech, where he said, hey, let's take care of our players. We can do a better job taking care of our players. The Niners and the Dolphins are the only teams in the league that have this kind of fund that helps their players and the wives of their players post-career. And for every Joe Montana, Tom Brady, super Steve Young, superstar quarterback, there's 10, 15 guys who are really hurting financially after their careers are over. And a lot of times it's just life. They're either struggling to transition from football to their next career. There was a Niner player that actually had his house burned down, I believe, in the last year or two, and the Golden Heart Fund was there for him. So, there's any number of things, and it's all about Eddie D was a man that treated his players like family and had compassion for their plight and for their struggles, and wanted to be there for them, not just while they were wearing the uniform, but even after they took the uniform off. So I'm a big proponent of the Golden Heart Fund. I think it's a great program, and I'll do anything I can to help them raise money. And all I'll say is go to goldenheartfund.org, and you can make a donation if you'd like. You can check out their calendar, see what events they have coming up. They did a run this morning at Levi Stadium. The check-in was at 7 a.m., and the run went off at 8, and I believe some of the runners also went off at 10 for the children's run. And all the proceeds go to the Golden Heart Fund. So, but we did an interview on YouTube earlier this week in Santa Clara with Guy McIntyre, and we did one yesterday afternoon where we took some phone calls, video calls, and then we talked to Jesse Sapolu, and it was just awesome. I mean, I thought it was some of the best stuff that we've done. Jesse had a number of really, really interesting things to say about the new Niners and about Talanoa Hufanga and about Brock Purdy and his perspective on how Purdy's being evaluated around the country right now from media and fans and that kind of thing. So very interesting stuff with Jesse Sapolu. Check that out. But yeah, 25,879 subs right now, 1.6 million views in the last 4 weeks alone. One more super chat here from Joshua Edwards. Coach is always right, LOL. Here's a couple of bucks for some puffs. Great. Thanks, Joshua. We will make sure the coach gets that. Appreciate every single one of you guys. I'm going to do a couple videos the rest of today and hang out with the family, and maybe I've got to get ready for my high school reunion tonight. 35 years. Go Cats, get 'em Cats. Go get 'em Cats. It'll be good to see the fellas tonight. A lot of those guys have not seen in a long, long time. So very interested to check that out tonight. Tomorrow, of course, we got Niners Browns in the morning slate, and that means at 1 o'clock we'll have our post-game show with myself and Danny and Rye and Kev and Baller and JD, and we'll chop it up and we'll talk a lot of Niners-Browns and hopefully talk about the 6-0 San Francisco 49ers. All right, always fun to wrap with the coach. Have a great Saturday, everybody. Until tomorrow, peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful.